If you want to know how to deliver 120 sessions per week as a solo strength trainer, you're going to love this episode. My name is Lawrence. This is highintensitybusiness.com, your one-stop shop for growing your HIIT business and fueling your passion for high-intensity training. Today's podcast is a throwback, members-only exclusive with Doug Holland. Doug owns Intelligent Exercise and routinely delivers 120 sessions per week all year round, aside from a brief 2-week fishing trip. Doug is a master of the HIIT personal training craft and shares lots of golden nuggets in this episode, such as tips for running the first intro session, how to decide on the best session length and structure for one-on-one training, how to schedule your sessions and set expectations with clients for maximum productivity, and much, much more. We recorded this in 2018, but rest assured that Doug's approach is still the same. Please also note this is an audio-only episode. So without any further ado, please enjoy the podcast. Doug, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
You're most welcome. It's always a pleasure to catch up. So, the purpose of this module is to talk about session length. You've been running your business for quite a while now, just providing the one-on-one personal training, and that you self obviously deliver that service. And I've seen your screenshots of the diary with all of the appointments booked back to back, which is always very good to see, because I love seeing obviously lots of people strength training, but it's quite it's quite a time management feat. Yeah,
I'm looking at it right now. It's right in front of me as we speak here. So
cool. Okay. So I guess what I really wanted to dig into in this conversation is understand. You've been doing this for so long. You've obviously got really good at it in terms of managing sessions, and kind of talk about the best way to do that. Some people do 15-minute sessions, which is so short. I don't know how they manage that. Some people do 30 minutes, some people do an hour, and there's probably other variations. I'm really keen to talk about this with you. So should we just start by talking about the first session that someone has with you, how long that is, and what you cover?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
For the first session, I tend to book anywhere between 45 minutes up to an hour and a half, just depending on the person. And the way I like to do that is obviously I can't have anyone trying to come and sneak in to invade their time on the back end. So I'll have to take that initial visit and put it either at the end of my day or at the end of my half day on either a Saturday or a Sunday. And so there's no pressure for us to rush through that first visit. And sometimes I'll have the client just to come in and meet me first. We introduce each other to introduce ourselves, and I give them a tour of the gym and maybe put them on a couple of pieces of equipment. And I'll say, okay, come back on this day and we'll get you started with your first session. And it's a nice icebreaker, because these people are nervous. They're they don't know what to expect. So that's a nice icebreaker, just to meet first before we get underway with the real stuff.
Do you put them through an actual workout in that first session, or is it just showing them certain pieces?
In the first session, what I do is I fit them on different pieces of equipment. I let them do a few reps of each piece, very light, just to show them what the movement is like. Okay. And then I take them back and we start over, and I say, okay, we're going to go through an actual workout here. And I say, I tell them, if things are too light, don't worry about it. If I make anything too heavy, don't worry. I'll stop. I'll reload. I'm going to try to hit the sweet spot. Okay. So yes, we do try to go through an actual workout during the first session. It may not be perfect. It may be a little bit sloppy. They're going to make mistakes on form. I'm going to make mistakes on eyeballing the correct resistance. So there's no worries.
And how does the conversation go? What are you talking about when you do that first session with someone?
Well, I just explain to them how what I expect, and how I am going to, as the sessions go by, I'm going to gradually sneak the intensity up on them. So I just don't bite them the first day they're here. I correct form mistakes. mistakes, breathing mistakes, things like that. But I just go, I just make those corrections as I go through the workout. What I found is that the first time client doesn't want to sit for a 30-minute lecture before you go into the weight room. Okay. So I found that it's more enjoyable for the client and for me to just go through this and make these corrections as you go through. So the first section is kind of like, and I use these words. The first session is, we're just going to go in here and just kind of play around a little bit. Okay. And, it tends to take away that gym intimidation. Yeah.
And, I'm sure you probably get, obviously a lot of people will be confused by, we just doing strength training. They'll have lots of questions about how do I improve my cardiovascular fitness, all of this stuff. So how do you address those? Do you get objections like that as you go through, or questions, and how do you address those generally?
Not as much as I used to. And I don't know where that attitude has kind of disappeared. And I think it's because I'm getting most of my clients from other clients. So they've already had a primer as to what I do before they show up, But usually by the second or by the third or fourth session, they understand that this cardiovascular training is built into the workout.
Right. And I guess it's interesting what you're saying, because it's almost like you're letting all of the workout do all of the talking for you.
Right. And generally what I say is sometimes I'll give them a little outline of the workout before we get started. I'll say like, okay, Lawrence, we're going to do this piece and this piece with no rest. I'll give you a walk to the water fountain after those first two exercises. And then you'll come back. We're going to do these two pieces, and I'll give you a second little sip of water, and I may give you 60 seconds to rest, maybe 90 seconds if you're really sucking wind. And then we're going to finish with these two pieces back to back. Okay. And that gives them kind of a sense of relief that, after I finish this exercise, I get to walk around a little bit and get a sip of water. Yep. Good.
Well, that's it. So what is is there like a basic initial workout you take people through in that first session, or does it differ?
I had this same question earlier this morning from a client, and he was asking when his wife is going to get started with me, will she do the same exercises? And I said, well, it depends on what she can fit into. And I said, I train the body. I don't train the sex. I'm training the body, but if your wife can't fit into if the pullover is a little bit too big for her, then we won't even worry about the pullover. If this machine bothers her and she can tolerate this piece over here, she'll do this piece, a piece that probably won't appear in your workout, So the first workout, I can just eyeball the client and just take it from there.
Right. Okay. So you can basically look at their structures and figure out what would be ideal. But I guess with that in mind, the initial template doesn't change massively. I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does it typically look like?
Generally like say an upper body pull, an upper body push, possibly a hip exercise, and then a leg press or a squat machine. And then we'll finish up with another upper body pull and a final upper body push.
What does the hip exercise look like?
That could be either abduction or adduction, or sometimes both. And for the more skilled who can understand how to do it, it could be hip extension.
Okay. And in that first session, is there anything else we're missing out there? Like after the workout, do you have like a routine in terms of, saying to the client or the prospect, this is how much it costs, and how does the conversation flow after that? Or is there anything else we've missed out there?
Well, I tell every first timer, I said, there's no obligation to continue. You just pay for today. And if you like it and if you like me, then we'll talk about continuing after that. So I put no pressure on clients to buy 10 or 12 workouts up front. If they want to pay one at a time, that's fine with me. Yeah. And I've also made it clear that anytime you want to abandon this, no hard feelings. It's not going to hurt my feelings because I know you're going to come back.
And will you take payment at the start of the session or at the end, or when do you do that?
Either doesn't matter. I know they're going to pay because
Okay. So no, I know this sounds strange me asking this. It's just, I think some people are interested in the details of the dynamic, because sometimes some people struggle to ask for money. As silly as it sounds, because you're offering a lot of value.
Right. I mean, man, it's like I'm selling my time. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't sell supplements.
Yeah.
I don't sell exercise DVDs. I'm selling you my time. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And is there anything else we're missing in that kind of first introductory session that you think is important that you do that specifically that doesn't alter maybe from session to session?
I think a lot of trainers, they get too fucking serious about this high intensity stuff, and it just bores the shit out of the client. Like, you got to make this interesting and kind of enjoyable. I'm not going to use the word fun, but you got to make it exciting for the client, and you can throw humor in there and just kind of just try to be friendly with these people, and they'll stay with you for decades.
And do you, well, that's an interesting point you raised there about being friendly. I mean, how much time do you spend just getting to know them and connecting with them as an individual and getting to know more about them and what they do and this type of thing?
We just slowly week after week. I mean, I'm not going to jump in and ask all kinds of personal questions. I just, we just kind of, that ice just starts to melt, as the weeks go by.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you don't force it, but you do kind of make an effort to get to know people.
Right. And it's like I've said before, if I've got 23 appointments tomorrow, I've got to have 23 different personalities.
Why?
Because everybody is different. Some people can take the joking around. Some people are just don't want to hear it. Some people are really, really tightly wound and they're really intense. And some people just, are just kind of goofs, so I can laugh with people. I can be serious with people. I can be loud with people. I can be very quiet with other people, so I have to
like mold yourself,
tune myself into their wavelength,
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see the different versions of Doug with different people. All right, let's dig into this in a bit more detail. So that's the kind of first session out of the way. So then there's this whole subject of session length. And I know, I talk to various trainers, entrepreneurs who are like trying to get this right in their business because they want to maximize efficiency in their day. They want to be able to squeeze the workouts in so they can optimize the amount of revenue they generate, but at the same time give the client enough time to get the workout done properly and to make it effective and satisfy the customer. So and this varies. I've spoken to people who have very short workout session lengths to quite long, up to an hour or over. So how do you figure this out? Like, tell us about how you figured out, the optimal session length for you.
It's based on my own personal workouts. I found out early on I could go to a commercial gym where I was struggling to get the equipment set up that I needed. And so what I was having to do is, if I was going to do a 7 exercise session, I would sometimes have to set up 7 pieces of equipment with maybe 5 alternate pieces in case I walked to what I had planned and somebody was on it, and I found out that I could still get through my workout in about 27 minutes, even in a crowded gym. You know? So therefore, at my place, after the first session, I book 30 minutes per client. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And with the understanding that if you're 10 minutes late, I'm probably going to lock the door and go through my own workout. Okay. And you're going to pay me for it.
How do you, okay, this is a bit off topic, but how do you make sure they pay you if that happens?
Oh, they'll pay because they know that I'll kick them out or that I'll fuss at them, you know?
Okay. Fair enough.
And,
yeah.
and if they have paid ahead, I just mark it off, you know?
Yeah. No, that's totally fair, completely fair, because it's not fair on you.
But I booked 30 minutes, and there are some interesting pockets on certain days where, like, say I'm looking at Wednesday right now. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 people in the middle of my afternoon on Wednesday, and these 4 happen to be always early or either right on time. And they know what to expect. So I can, if I needed to, I could cram those 4 people in about an hour and 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've got the same situation tomorrow morning with my first 5 that are coming in, that I could do the same thing. I could literally give them those 15 to 17 minute workouts, because they're all, I mean, literally, I finish one workout, the next person is sitting out front waiting to come in, you know, bam, 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 just like that, you know, but that's rare, you know.
And so you will kind of flex and bend if necessary, if you want to get them. So sometimes you might halve your working day or working afternoon if that happens to be the case, right? If you've got people lining up like that.
What I will do this evening, and as we're speaking, this is a Sunday for your listeners. What I will do is I will pull my Monday morning charts, and I will preload every non-conflicting piece of equipment for my first 5 workouts. Okay. So I'll have as much equipment ready for my first 5 sessions as I can. And, man, I'll hit the door tomorrow and we will go, you know, first client, second client, third client, we're moving.
And what's the sequence of events? I want you to walk me through what happens when they first walk in the door to when they leave.
Well,
okay.
Most of these clients have been with me a long time, and what I learned when I was in my early teens working in grocery stores is that the customer wants to go home. Okay, the customer wants to come in for what they are coming in for, and guess what? They want to go home. Okay, so I say, good morning, James, let's come in for your workout. I take him through his workout, and he gets finished. He goes, man, that was great. Okay. All right. I'll see you next week. And he leaves. So any chit chat, any interesting chit chat we may have about, yesterday's, football game or whatever, you know, will take place probably within, a 2-minute, segment at the end of the workout. Okay. Because James knows when we open the door to the training room for him to leave, there will be Bill right there ready to come in.
There's just an understanding that there's
that's
kind of, I guess, pretty easy to implement. You know, if people understand that it's 30-minute sessions and you're back to back and there's someone there waiting, it's quite obvious. Yeah.
Right. It's like yesterday I had a lady who texted me as she was on her way, and she says, I'm running late. I'll get there as soon as I can. And when she came in, I said, you know, I run a tight ship. And she goes, oh, I know. She says, every Saturday when I finish my workout and walk out, she says, that next person is sitting there waiting to come in. I said, okay. So I said, we may have to cut you a little bit short today. She goes, I fully understand, you know, don't worry, you know, so.
Right, because she was running slightly late. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's funny because I kind of half expect you to say, you know, when I say, what's the sequence of events? I kind of half expect you to say, they come in, we say good morning, good afternoon, they work out and they go home. Like, because that's just what you're like, Doug.
Well, that's what it's like.
Yeah. I mean, this is fine. I have a terrible habit when I talk to people of like, if I go for a meeting with someone who's kind of, you know, a friend or maybe their business and a friend, it sounds terrible.
Mhm.
It sounds like I don't have, you know, I separate the two, but it's not. I mean, obviously, a lot of my business contacts are very good friends of mine as well. But let's say the agenda is business. Quite often, if I've booked an hour in the diary, we're going to be hanging out for 1.5, 2 hours, and that's fine sometimes. But in other times, it's like, oh, I've got stuff to do, and then
Right,
you know, I
right.
can't do this.
To do.
Exactly. There's other
Yeah.
things booked in the diary, right? So it can hurt, you know, your overall kind of productivity or satisfaction for the day. Now, you know, and I'm terrible, so I will realize this, you know, partway through. You know, they'd be telling me something, and I realize this partway through, and then I think to myself, okay, just make sure that when they finish their point, you then end the meeting, because otherwise I'll just start talking, you know, and then we go off on one again. And I suppose, you know, as I said, this is fine on occasion, but I'm just curious. Do you have any tips on? Do you have any customers that are particularly talkative? And do you have any tips on ushering them out the door for the next person, or do you not have an issue with
Okay,
it?
let me see. I've got a few, but what you can do, and here's what works: is you put your wristwatch on stopwatch mode, and if they start talking, you say, "Look, you've got 15 seconds, so go ahead and grab the handles. We got to get you started in 7, 6, 5," and you count them down. You know. And that'll shut them up every time.
And do they try and talk to you during the workout sometimes, especially newbies? Like, shut up, focus on the workout.
Well, okay. Yes, they do. But the secret to that is you've got to position yourself out of their line of sight. So it's like you're not there. Okay. So if someone's on the compound row, they can't see me because I'm standing behind them and slightly off to the side. Okay. If someone's on the rowing torso, same thing. I'm standing behind them, watching them open up the machine and looking at the belt as it wraps around the cam. Okay. So I can instruct them, but if they're talking, you know, people are more likely to talk to you if they can look you in it face to face. Okay, so I try to be invisible.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just a lot of these things. I enjoy talking about the dynamic, and I think, you know, to a lot of people, it's probably like it's kind of common sense, some of this stuff, right?
Sure,
like you just kind of, you know, it perhaps doesn't require here's how you do this, and this. But it's interesting all the same, because I do think there are people that sometimes struggle with these dynamics. So let's talk about this this issue with session length. You know, I've spoken to business owners who run a very, very tight ship. You know, you're talking 15-minute sessions. You know, 4 sessions an hour. What do you make of that?
I think you know, all it takes is one person within that hour to just totally fuck everything up. You know, unless the trainer is really tough about, you know, not allowing that cancellation to take place without the client paying and without the late client trying to step on the workout time of the next person. Okay. That is what I will not allow. I will not allow, let's say if your workout's supposed to start at 10:30 a.m., your workout is going to start at 10:30 a.m. It will not start at 10:35 or 10:40 because someone ahead of you has showed up late. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you're really bullish on the timing, which is completely fair.
Because you know, this is your time. This is your time. If someone ahead of you is late, they're not going to step on your time. You know, they're going to be ushered out so you can get your workout started on time. because you're the reliable client.
And what are your thoughts on? So again, I have a friend who runs hour sessions, and I think they do more in terms of training, but also consultancy. So it's slightly different. But do you feel like 45 minutes an hour in your context is perhaps too long?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I would end up hating the client, and he or she would end up hating me, or at least get bored with. We at least get bored with each other.
Yeah. So 30 minutes is like the sweet spot for you.
Yeah. Hopefully about 22.
Yeah. No, you know, I mean, we've got through most of the questions I had for you regarding session length specifically. But I guess just curious, in terms of the high intensity training entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, or those that have been doing this for a number of years, who are trying to kind of like optimize session length. Do you have any advice, or words of wisdom to help them kind of figure this out for their business? Anything else that comes to mind?
Well, this has nothing to do with session length, but the words of advice for the new guys getting into this is, please learn how to get up early and get going, because there are so many older clients who have no trouble seeing you early in the morning, and they will gladly pay for this. They will gladly pay for that early morning time where they're all alone just with you, and you'll have them lined up one after another.
Yeah, it's a big market there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. And actually, that brings me on to ask you about one more thing before we wrap up, which is, session arrangement and scheduling in the day. How do you figure that out for you?
You mean for me?
Yeah.
Okay. What I do is I work 3 shifts a day. Okay. So tomorrow, for example, I'll train clients from 4:50 a.m. until about 10:20 a.m. And then I'll leave the gym. I'll either go home real quick, or I'll just drive around for a while. I'll just get out of the building. And then I'll come back and I'll train clients from 11:30 a.m. until about 2:15 p.m. And then once again, I'll leave. I may go home and lie down for 30 minutes, take a short 15-minute nap. And then I'll come back and I'll train clients from 3:30 p.m. until 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And those breaks are really valuable. Okay. So it's like that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I'm hitting probably more clients in 2.5 days than most trainers are hitting the entire week.
How many sessions do you do in a week on average?
Anywhere between 99 and 115.
And you're doing them all yourself?
Yes.
You're a strange breed, Doug.
Thank you.
It's interesting because there's obviously a lot of people in this business that aspire to be working on the business as opposed to in the business more than they need to. So bringing on trainers to do that so that they can optimize some of the other things. Because maybe they've been a trainer in the past and it's just not for them to do that full time. And it's very, they bring you brought up a lot in conversation as being quite unusual in how much you enjoy being the one-on-one trainer.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. I'll go home at night, and like yesterday I went home and I was telling my wife, I said, God, it was a fucking great day today.
Yeah.
I had a great day. this person did this and this person did that. And this guy, he decided to come back in and start working out again. And fuck, it was just a fucking great day. It's
I love that. And this is not to say, clearly it's really important that I believe that all the business owners keep a hand in the game, and do train people.
Yeah.
From time to time,
like I said,
for sure.
It's like I said years ago. The money is on the floor. The money is on the training room floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
you gotta go out and get it. And you got to show these people that you have more love for this than they do,
Yeah, that's awesome, Doug. Well, look, thank you so much for taking the time to share this today. Really appreciate it.
Always enjoy it. Always enjoy it.
Likewise, sir. And what is how can people find you if they want to they contact you or visit you?
Let's see. Email deepsquat1@aol.com. deepsquat1@aol.com. Or if they're in the States, they can call me 318-458-1487.
Cool. And I'll stick that in the thread in the membership, which is just available to the members, Doug. Should they want to drop you a note to dig into this in a little bit more detail or give you a ring?
Sure.
That'd be great.
I try to return all phone calls. It may take a day or two or a week, but I try to return all phone calls. Okay.
Cool. All right, Doug. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.